So what we're going to take a look at today is basically how to factor when our a equals 1. So when we're talking about a equaling 1, we're basically looking at this part. So because there's no coefficient in front of this, that's technically going to say that I have 1x squared. So that's what we're talking about when our a equals 1. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you want to do, when it's in this case of my x squared being without a coefficient, or basically a 1 as a coefficient, you're simply going to do this. You're going to take a look at your C term. And this C term, we're going to basically find the factors that help us figure out what can add or subtract to give us a negative 13. So first thing I'm going to take a look at is 30. I'm going to create my list of factors. So with my factors, I'm going to start from 1. So 1 times 30. And then I go down my line, 2 times 15. Now the next factor, 3 times 10. And then the last one, 4 won't work, but 5 will, 5 times 6. Okay, so these are all the factors, the numbers that can multiply to give us 30 here. So what we want to do is take a look at that sign. If you notice, it's positive. So the only way that this is positive is basically the factors are going to be the same sign. So what I mean by that is either it's positive times a positive, or the other option, negative times a negative to give us this positive 30. So we know that the signs have to be the same. So I can already set that up here, and it's going to either be a negative negative or a positive positive. So how do we narrow it down? Well, you want to take a look at this symbol here. That will always be the sign of your biggest factor out of your set of combinations here. So in other words, since this is negative, so I take a look at my bigger set of my factors, negative, 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 and negative. So all these are my biggest ones. But if you remember what I said is, if this is positive, then that means the only other way I can multiply to get a positive is one negative times another negative. So that means all these have to be a negative in order to figure out what this is. So already in my factor form, I know my factors are going to be negative here. So what we want to do is figure out which one can I add or subtract it in order to get a negative 13. So a negative plus a negative, I'm going to get a negative 31. Negative 2 plus a negative 15, negative 17. Negative 3 plus negative 10, negative 13. And lastly, negative 5 plus negative 6, negative 11. So obviously the one factor that we're going to use for this is our 3 and negative 10. So double check it. Negative 3 times negative 10, positive 30. Negative 3 plus negative 10, negative 13. So I'm basically adding them up. So these are my two factors. When it's a equals 1, basically what happens is I'm going to split. I'm going to take the square root of this and put 1x here and 1x here. So when your STAR test asks you which is the factor form of this expression, they're basically looking for the two binomials, the two terms that are here, in order to figure out which one is the same as the given one.